What is a quandary? A quandary is a dilemma where we're put in a difficult situation, a catch-22 between a rock and a hard place. We find this in different areas of our life. In politics, politicians might be between a rock and a hard place with regards to discussions on health care, immigration, energy issues, and families. Quandaries might often come up in differences of opinion between husbands and wives and how to discipline the children or in managing finances. In business, it might come up in dealing with business mergers or marketing plans, or if you should hire employees or let employees go. And when we come to Christmas, we can come to quandaries in Christmas, such as, where are we going to spend Christmas this year? What will the Christmas budget be? Or if sometimes there are tragedies or illnesses or unfortunate sicknesses that come in the middle of the Christmas season. What I want to talk with you about today goes a little bit deeper than some of those things. And my wife and I have some of these quandaries ourselves when it comes to Christmas, usually around October, November. Kathy and I might talk about, what will our Christmas budget be for gifts, or where are we going to spend Christmas? And we'll have some pushback, some give and take on what we're going to do and making a decision for those things. But again, going deeper with the Christmas quandary. There's a question that I want to bring up a lot in the program today, which is, what are we going to do with Christmas? What are you going to do? What am I going to do with Christmas? And another way to say that is, what are we going to do with the Christ of Christmas? The Christ of Christmas sometimes creates difficult situations. It can cause people to surface that oppose Jesus or Christmas, and they surface themselves this time of year because of opposition. It also raises up people who might be passive. They're all right with Santa and elves and the reindeer and somewhat with the belief of Jesus, but it's all kind of surface stuff for them, so a little shrug of the shoulders. And then you have those folks that are really passionate about Christmas. They love Jesus, they love the Bible, they love the church, and they are gung-ho for the deep, real meaning of Christmas. When we talk about the quandary of Christmas, it all starts with the Christmas story. So let me share the Christmas story with you. First, just sort of a brief summary before I open up my Bible and share with you out of the Bible a certain passage of the Christmas story. It all starts with Mary and Joseph, and whether you're a religious person watching today or not, you've probably heard of some aspects of the Christmas story. Mary and Joseph. Mary may have been about a teenager when all this occurred, and her fiance, soon-to-be husband, Joseph, was a little bit older, maybe 10 years, give or take, a little bit older. Well, the two of them loved each other very much. They were committed to become married, going through an engagement process, when all of a sudden the God of heaven comes down and sort of messes up their plans a little bit and brings a miracle into their engagement process. The two of them had committed to remain pure until they were married. They had committed to God and say, we're not going to be sexually involved until our wedding day. And so they were going along in that journey. Then all of a sudden an angel appeared to Mary and said, Mary, you're going to have a baby. And Mary was like, what? Going to have a baby? My husband and I have committed to purity. How is this going to happen? And that's where the angel began to blow Mary's mind a little bit by saying, you're not going to do anything. It's going to be a miracle of God. And somehow, it's hard to explain, a seed of heaven came down and was implanted in Mary's womb. And over the period of the next 9 months, this miracle, real miracle inside of Mary began to grow. Until 9 months later, Mary had a child. And literally, God was born right out of Mary, the Son of God. And the angels appeared, and shepherds and wise men and other people appeared they'd never met before. And it was a miracle of all miracles. And soon that child began to grow from a little baby into a young boy, into an adolescent, a young man, and eventually into an adulthood. And eventually this man became Jesus, the Son of God, the Messiah, who eventually changed the world over the period of his ministry. And then he suffered and died and was buried in a tomb, and 3 days later overcame death and rose again from the dead and is alive today. The story of Christmas, of real miracles. Well, let me share with you out of the Bible a part of the Christmas story that involves three key characters we're going to look at in this program today: King Herod, the wise men, and also the Jewish people. And we'll see how all this applies to you and me. So out of the book of Matthew, in chapter 2, verse 1, is where I'll begin to read. Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, Where is he who's been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose, and have come to worship him. When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And assembling all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They told him, In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it is written by the prophet. And you, O Bethlehem in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod summoned the wise men secretly and ascertained from them what time the star had appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, Go and search diligently for the child, and when you found him, bring me word, that I too may worship him. After listening to the king, they went on their way, and behold, the star that they had seen when it rose went before them until they came to rest over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. And going into the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. Then opening their treasures, they offered him gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed to their own country by another way. The Christmas story. It's a beautiful story. But what are we going to do with this story? What are we going to do with Christmas? What are we going to do with Jesus? Well, let's start with Herod. King Herod, 35 years before this story took place, King Herod was appointed to his position. At the time this story was written, the Roman Empire that ruled the vast parts of the world was at its peak. And the people, the Jewish people, were under the rule of the Roman Empire. And they had provinces far and wide across the Roman Empire. And they appointed various governors or kings to rule these various provinces. King Herod was appointed by the Roman Senate to be the one that rules over the Jewish people. And so for 35 years, this non-Jew, this Roman man, ruled over the Jewish people. Often there was times of conflict between King Herod and the Jewish people, and between the Roman Empire and the Jewish people. And King Herod was also somebody that had a lust for power, and he abused his power and was very suspicious about anybody that came along that might want to take over his throne and push him out of the way and become the next king or governor over the Jewish people. And this led him to be a very cruel and abusive king. So cruel that it didn't matter who you were, he would take you out if he thought you as a threat. His mother-in-law, his mother, some of his sons, he put to death because of a sense of suspicion that they might somehow be out to take over his throne. Herod's title, now understand in this story, was King of the Jews. So here's the setting. This large entourage comes in, and they come in, and Herod wonders, who is this group of people that come from outside the Roman Empire? They're not Romans, they're not Jewish people. He's never met them before, and nobody knows anybody, but they just sort of come in this town. They make their way to Herod and his aides, and they begin to inquire about where is this baby born King of the Jews. Now immediately, when these unknown people to Herod said, where's this baby King of the Jews? Immediately Herod's attention perked up and said, You're looking for a baby that is born king of the Jews when that was his own title. Immediately, Herod felt threatened. And as he took out, as I mentioned earlier, his mother, mother-in-law, his kids, he was ready to find out who this baby was and take out this baby. And eventually, I didn't read this part of the story, but later in the story, he couldn't find this baby born king of the Jews, so he took matter into his own hands, and he went ahead and he killed all of the babies that were born 2 years and younger, took them out. Some historians say that he killed some 200 babies just to try to take out anybody that was a threat to him. This is King Herod, a clear antagonist or opponent of Christmas. Herod did not have the Spirit of God living in him. That's why he thought all of this was foolishness. He didn't understand it and wanted to wipe it out.